Our topic for today is the week 9 in your LMS when it comes to the retaining human resources. As I had said, what are the things that we have to consider in retaining the human resources? Of course, it's about a motivation, even also the we have to monitor and evaluate the performance of the employees, and also a competent compensation and benefits. Okay, so our learning objectives here is to understand the motivation and performance, to explain how to compensate employees, to identify the factors affecting evaluation of job performance, and to explain the anticipation of repatriation. Okay, when I say repatriation, it's about a person who going back at home or return to his home country for settlement for good, just like the OFWs that after they work in a country for more than a years, then they have to settle down in the country. So that's repatriation. And repatriation is also a thing that which also it will help for the economy, for the country, when it comes to reduce the unemployment rate. Okay. Well, the repatriation, it's about when people go to their country, to the home country. The next step is what will be the job awaits. But there are some people who save more, who earn more and save for the future, and then they will go to the home country and to start a new life again. Okay. So of course, so if we talk about retention, as I've said, it's about retaining or maintaining manpower or employees in the organization. So retention is a very important to reduce the labor turnover cost, because recruiting of manpower because of a transition of the labor turnover is also a cost on the company. That's why we need to retain the employees in order to work for the company for a long time, and also to reduce the turnover, the labor turnover, and the cost itself. Because the organization or the HR's function is also not only to retain the employees, but we have also to make it to make a better career for the company that will help the company in achieving the objectives. Because it's a win-win solution. When I say win-win solution, if the employees are productive, they deserve to be rewarded and compensated by the employer. And of course, in order that employee, before the employer give those incentives to the employee must perform well and helping the company to grow. Okay, that's why it's a part of the retention of the human resources is the motivation. Okay, if we talk about motivation, it's about the willingness of the individual to exert a high levels of effort, or to exert an effort to perform a job. Okay, to perform a job in meeting the organization's goals and objectives, and to satisfy the individual needs of the employees. Because motivation is a way of how the individuals will push through or getting inspired or giving an effort in doing their job. And motivation has a lot of things, has a lot of factors. Of course, the first motivation is money. And there's nothing wrong about money, because that's incentive. People are work because for money to earn a living. But there are some aspects of motivation which people are inspired or motivated to work, like achievements, recognition to her deeds or to his deeds, giving privileges or career advancement. That is also a motivation. Of course, if people are inspired and motivated, they will perform well. their performance is excellent. Their performance is really satisfying what the organization needs to achieve. Okay, that's why part of the motivation is the managers of the organization must try to motivate the people or the subordinates based on their potentials. Because please take note that motivating people or motivating employees are not easy. It's a matter of hardships. It's a matter of a critical thing, because there are some subordinates which are not follow, or they have some issues, personal issues or other issues that might affect their performance. That's why motivation is a positive aspect, that people are getting inspired and to do the job willfully and exerting effort for such purpose. Okay, so motivation is also a feeling, that prompts people to do what they need to do. Yes, because if a person is willing to do a lot of things, they can perform well. And for me, the most important motivation is you enjoy the task, you enjoy the job that you do. An example of that, okay? An example of that, regardless if it is a domestic or abroad employment, a job abroad or a job domestic, as I've said earlier, motivation, money, incentives are the first factor of motivation. People are willing to work because of money. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we need money to earn and to survive the living. But as I've said earlier, there are not only money can motivate people. They have their personal purpose like achievement, recognition, giving a rewards on their contributions. And that's also even a simple compliment without monetary incentives. A simple compliment or recognizing his work and effort is also a motivation to work for. As a motivation for the people or employee to work, to do more, because they are willing, because they receive something, regardless if it is monetary or non-monetary. An example of that is, as I've said, why are so many employees abroad and domestic, they are working for more than 10 years in the company, and their salaries are increasing, of course, but not too much. But they struggle for money. But some people tell them, well, if you're not happy with your work and your job does not sustain your material needs or other needs, why don't you go for other job? But there are some people, in spite of those issues on personally, but they need to work in the company, but they willing to work with the company because they enjoy what they're doing. Sometimes, if we enjoy what they are doing in working, regardless of the salary that we get, regardless of those salary, but you enjoy the environment of working with people and giving a recognition to what your needs. This is always there. There's no perfect employers or perfect companies, but what the managers can do is from those issues, you try to understand your subordinates and do something, how to motivate them in spite of those issues and sentiments they face. Because people, all of us have our own personal issues, but we set aside it for the sake of performing a job and to move forward on the things that we need to do, because we don't need to stress out a lot of things. Okay? That's why motivation is a factor. Another is a performance-based rewards. Of course, employees, of course, deserve to get rewarded. And the performance-based rewards, these are the roles or address the variety of purposes in the organization, because rewards are given to those employees who work, who perform job based on the standards and help the company to grow. That's why from these performance-based rewards, the employer give recognition or award to those employees who work for the company, to achieve the objectives. And this thing is also done by the employers or the company to provide a reward to those productive employees. Okay? Everybody deserves to get rewarded for as long as you perform well. Okay? So what are those factors influencing motivation? Okay, so the factors that affects the motivation are the following. Individual differences, yes. As I've said earlier, we are not motivated because of money, because we have a lot of things to consider when we motivate. That's why that individual difference, because people have different personal needs. People have different values, attitudes, and interests. That's why people are also motivated differently. Okay, we are motivated in different way, not only the same way. These characteristics, okay, of the person, they are, so that's what motivates people. That's why individual differences, people are different the way they motivate. As I've said, we are not motivated because not because of money or the salary that we get. We are motivated also to work with the company, to work with people, okay, enjoying the task that you perform, establishing a career with it by giving you a recognition to your achievements or deeds. Okay, that is also these are the factors, individual differences. Okay, so what is the job characteristics? The job characteristics, these are the aspects, okay, of the job position that determine the limitations and challenges. So this job characteristics is also a factor of influencing motivation, because of course as an employee, we need to know what are the particular tasks to be performed. That's why we have a job description, what are the duties and responsibilities that we need to perform. Okay? The first job characteristics is the variety of skills required to do the job. Yes, that's why there are a lot of positions, they need a manpower who have the skills needed for the job. And the degree of the employee that can do the entire task from start to finish. Of course, it is very important that the employee is productive, which they are capable to perform the task or the job from start to finish based on the working hours. Significance attributed to the job, of course, autonomy. When you say autonomy, you are free to do the things that you are free to perform your job without any supervision, for as long as you perform the job right and you perform the job well. And the type and extent of performance feedback that employee receives. Okay, so those are the job characteristics. So what are those organizational practices? So the rules of the HR policies, of course, all the organizational practices are based on the company policies, not only the HR, but the policy as a whole, together with the reward system or the rewards given by the organization, and even the managerial practices, of course, that also vary from the culture and the environment of the organization. Please take note that policy also defines the reward and benefits that attracts the employees, okay? That attracts new employees, okay, to perform well, and also to retain the existing employees. Of course, if we retain the existing employees, of course they will become happy. Okay. So what are the suggestions to motivate employees? So we have the following suggestions in order to motivate employees. First, recognize individual differences. Yes, because employees are not homogeneous. They are homogeneous because they work in a company as one. Okay? But their culture, their personal cultures are different. But we should recognize. So we should recognize our differences. So for us to reach each other and to help each other. Because if we recognize our differences, there will be an adjustments. There will be an adjustments when it comes to to human interaction and relation towards the job. Okay, and from this recognizing individual differences, it also helps to motivate employees by reaching and understanding their cultures. Another is match people to jobs. Of course, you should match the skills, the knowledge, the ability of the people, of the person or individual to the job which she or he can perform. That's why in the recruitment, there are job description specification because we are looking for an applicant that matches to the qualifications needed for the job. Okay. So that is the example. Of course, high achievers, of course, is sought for the job running a small business and autonomous unit with a larger business. So jobs are most attractive and motivate to employees with the higher growth needs. Another is the use goals. Of course, in order to motivate employees, we have to use the goals. We always remind of the purpose, the goals or objectives or the organization that will also gives direction to the employees to perform a job. Okay, and ensure the goals perceived as attainable. Of course, make sure that the goals of the company is attainable. It can be easily understood and can be done by the employees. Okay, because if you ensure those goals, then it will be the employee motivation effort will reduce. Okay. Another is individualized rewards. Yes, there are some rewards are given in a group, but if the employee perform well individually, then we can give them a reward individually. Because although we work as one in the organization, in a group, there's always been an excellent or a very performing. Okay. And link rewards the performances. Yes, because if the people or the individual are perform well, the rewards should be linked or it should be attached. So for those productive employees, they deserve to get rewarded. Okay. An example of that is a promotion. If you see the person has a potential because he do the job well, then you endorse him for a promotion. Okay. To promote his position on a higher status, and check the system for the equity. When you say system, you should check the policies, the standards. If those policies practice are still equal treatment to the employees. Okay, please take note that employees should receive the rewards or outcomes are equal to inputs given. Yes, because when given rewards, it should be equitable or equal or fair to everyone. Although there are some individuals who are not rewarded because maybe they did not met the requirements or the standards of the company in performing the job. Of course, they need to be improved. Okay, but for those people who work hard, of course, they are the ones to get rewarded. Okay, that's why working is not just an easy thing, but it's a matter of passion and dedication. As I've said, if you love what you're doing, you are not only motivated because of your salary or the money, you are motivated in other means. Just like for me, I enjoy the work, and that's my motivation. I enjoy working because my co-employees are also doing great. We have our good relationship as co-teachers. as relationship with my college dean. Okay, so that's the things that you enjoy you work, and even the work environment is a less stress. That's why it can motivate you to perform well or to work well. And of course, we cannot ignore money. As I've said earlier, money is the first factor of motivation because it's the reason why we are working. Uh, because you cannot ignore money as a means of motivating employees to their performance. Because if we evaluate motivational methods, according to the study, a review of 80 studies, people are still motivated in money. That's why we don't ignore money. They are motivated, especially if you give them a reward. As an example, if you perform well, I'll give you salary increase. Then these people will work hard to get the salary increase. Okay? So do not ignore money as also a factors to motivate employees because this is, as I've said, this is the first factor, money. Okay, so those are the factors that what we call this, we motivate employees. Okay, so the next one is how to compensate employees. So basic compensation, it's about a payment given to the employees. So in compensating employees, of course, the locally culturally accepted standards, it can influence the compensation package of the employee. Because if you work abroad, there are different labor enforcements or labor law that comply by the country. Okay, by the host country company or the headquarters or extended offices. That's why compensation standard is it varies based on the labor law. Okay, employment practices and the obligation of the employer in guiding the companies when it comes to the compensation. As an example of that, why OFWs are working abroad rather than here, because they believe that salary abroad is much compensated than our country. But for me, it's for me we respect that point of view, especially if those people who work abroad, they want to save money and invest immediately, because you cannot do this, you cannot fulfill your dreams in the Philippines, especially if you're not compensated. That's why many people are working abroad, because they are more compensated than their home country. Okay, that's why on that case, I respect those people and I admire OFWs because they work for the family. They used to work abroad for their family because maybe their income here, the salary in the Philippines cannot afford the needs of the family. That's why they work abroad to compensate the family needs. Okay, that's why in abroad there are a lot of compensation packages that are competent, that can also be what we call this, that can be motivated. Okay, employees are motivated. Next is cultural sensitivity. Okay, so the cultural sensitivity is about the mix of employee benefits that varies from one country to another, okay, or country to country. But please take note that the cash component is typically the largest. Kasi, of course, the employee benefits is also a privilege, but the big factor is the cash component, which is the basic salary. Because this is what I'm telling last time in our lecture, that a Filipino teacher and American teacher, they are both teaching English. A Filipino teacher is a licensed professional teacher in the Philippines. She passed the board exam, she has credentials, work experience, while the American English teacher, she is American citizen. She is not a graduate of an education course, but she's a graduate of a 4-year course. But she is speaking English fluently, they become an English teacher. But when it comes to the salary of both Filipino and American teachers, they are not the same. They are different. The compensation of the American English teacher is much higher than the Filipino English teacher, and both of them are speaking English. What is the cultural sensitivity there? They are not equitable. The American English teacher salary is higher than the Filipino English teacher, but they both perform teaching English. They are well performed, but why their salary are different? That's why the cash component is the largest. Maybe the answer is because she's an American, sir, and Filipino is an Asian, because Asian uh, people treated Asian people are a low profile. Maybe there are some answers, but for me, it's a matter of stereotyping or discrimination. Discrimination in terms of salary or compensation. Because I believe, regardless of the race, regardless of the credentials, for as long as they perform well, then they deserve to get paid, especially the Filipino teacher. Because a Filipino teacher, as my example, a Filipino teacher who have credentials, a graduate of education, major in English, and a licensed teacher, a board passer, they deserve to get paid, although the professional license was not used in abroad, only in the Philippines, but because of their experience and skills, which can be also the same on the American English teacher, then why they are not compensated fairly? That's why the companies, we should be culturally sensitive on giving the salary and benefits. Okay, because of the culture. So we have to look on this. Next is the base salary. So the base salary, this is the compensation package. It's about of course, the payment, the remuneration for the employee services. And this basic salary is it is also already based on the several factors. So for the first country national or parent country, the basic salary is at least maintains the customary standard of living. Okay? In his family while living abroad. Okay, that's also correct. That's why many people are working abroad, because they are earn more rather than work in their own country. Another factor is expatriate bonus. Okay, the expatriate bonus, this is a bonus given to expatriates, the OFWs, or the overseas workers, okay? Because it's part of the international labor law that there should give it a bonus to those expatriates, okay? And this is also a thing that can motivate employees to work abroad. And even the cost of living adjustments, okay, this is also a factor to compensate the basic living costs greatly around the world. So the cost of the even in the Philippines, we have this in our Philippine labor code, the cost of living allowance. And this cost of living allowance is given to a regular employee to compensate the personal needs like transportation, food allowance that can be added to their compensation. Okay. And even employee benefits, of course, one of the employee benefits are the fringe benefits. And these fringe benefits are provided by provided to the employees. Okay. Further, to compensate the additional expenses of those employees, domestic and abroad. Okay. And part of the fringe benefit is the compensation having to pay for the various local taxes and even the contributions to the government insurance programs. Okay, so how do we evaluate the employee performance? So we have three things to consider to evaluate the employee performance. First, the environment. We talk about global performance. Okay, the business environment is very important to evaluate performance, because environment, it's a way to seek better opportunities on how to work with people. It's a matter of how we adapt the culture, the policy of the company, and working with the people in the company. The job task, it is also evaluating employee performance because uh, the job task has a lot of things to do. There are some job tasks are challenging that we might to do. Well, there's nothing wrong to be challenged on the work because it is very important to do a lot of work beyond your limits, beyond your capabilities. Okay, and even individual personality, these characteristics contribute of the likelihood of success. Okay, especially international assignments. Okay, let's say individual personality. So it's about our behavior. Okay, that we develop on us. That we need to adapt based on the culture of other people, especially if we work abroad. And the last one is anticipating repatriation. Okay, when we say repatriation, it's about a person who went home, okay, or returning home and get settled for after working abroad. It means those are the repatriates. These are the people who work abroad. Once they earn and they go back to her home country, they are decided to settle for good or to stay in the Philippines and to have a job in the Philippines. Of course, this is the goal of some expatriates or particular OFWs because, as I've said earlier, OFWs are working abroad because of the salary. It is more competent that what they receive. But of course, it means the OFWs or the expatriates are working abroad to earn a living and to earn savings in the future. And once the overseas workers already achieved achieve all of their savings, then they will go back to the Philippines and make a settlement or staying in the Philippines for good. That's repatriation. Okay, please take note that repatriation period is difficult to file with many adjustments. Okay, and what's the saddest thing that the returning expatriates or the repatriates, they often experience a sense of isolation, especially when we go home and want to see our family. Maybe the kids are very aloof because they didn't see you for a long time and you are not connected with them, because there are some things that people can forget you if they don't see you for a long period of time. Okay, that's why we anticipate the repatriation, because why there's a repatriation, especially if there are some refugees, okay, refugees who have no legal paper and they have to deport it. Okay, that's why we anticipate those things, because if there are people who work abroad with illegal papers and their employment is also illegal, and also their travel in other country is also illegal. Okay, that's why we anticipate those things. That's why it is very important that we hire a people in abroad. All of them have a complete papers requirements, so we become legitimate employee to perform a job on the company. Okay, so those are the things that we consider when it comes to retention of the manpower. Okay, it's about the motivation, the job performance, and even the compensation. And that is our topic for today when it comes to